Hey, my friends, good evening. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery, here from the home office. Matt, good evening. How are you? Randy, nice to have you along with us on our weekly adventure into the world of the outdoors, hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. And so glad to have you along with us once again. Bruce, good evening. How are you? Randy, nice to have you along with us. Hey, Brian. John. Oh, the little girl Abby who shot the turkey's your niece. How cool is that? Congrats. That was very cool. Jerry checking in from Algonac. Patrick, good evening. Gene, thank you again for putting the new tubes on my Angler Quest. Fellow Angler Quest guy right here, Craig Plowman. Love your boat, Craig. Looks good. And as I told you in that email, or I think I told you, boy, that location you've got right there on the canal is just absolutely beautiful. And I'm assuming that's right out in front of your house. How perfect is that? John, how are you? Where'd you go, John? Right there. Boom. Joe, thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Tony. Yeah, the AQ is on the water. We saw a boat that reminded me of you up in Real Skinny yesterday, Tony, and I wondered if it was you. Turkey hunting is tough. Turkey numbers, Tony, are certainly down across the country and across Michigan. The spot where I started hunting, never saw a bird. I drive by there 2 or 3 times a week and still haven't seen a bird. So yeah. Turkey numbers are definitely down. Jeff, good evening. How are you? So, Tony, have you been out in the skinny water yet or no? We ended up going, that big piece of structure that runs out from where you and I like to fish, just east of there? We were at the end of that, Tony, yesterday. 10 feet of water. Hey, Julie, how are you? Nope, not you yet. 35 feet from the house. Craig, that's wonderful. Evening, Ed. 35 feet from the house. That is just so cool. Julie, hi. John said it was really cool to listen to you and Ted talk on last week's show. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. It was a nice conversation. I thought it went very well. There have been times I've talked to Ted in the past where it was like, yeah, this is a bit much. But that conversation last week, I agree, it was a very nice conversation. So thank you. Gene says, you're very welcome. Thank you for the kind words this morning. Makes me feel good to hear that you're happy. I'm very happy, Gene, very happy. And I appreciate your help in getting those new tubes on. As I said this morning, also have to thank Apex. I have to thank Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis. I have to thank Linwood Beach Marina, specifically Captain Jason Graham, for helping get the new tubes on or helping to get that boat on the water as quick as you guys did. Appreciate it. David, good evening. How are you? Jeff, Tony says, nope, not yet. Paul. Hello, Paul. How are you? Eric, nice to have you along with us. Corey says, talking about turkey hunting, I'll be on Michigan Outdoors in a week or two. I didn't know that, Corey. Very cool. Congrats. Jeff, around 3 months till bear baiting starts. Can't wait. Jeff, remind me. I know you and I have talked in the past, but remind me, what's the name of your service? Another bear hunting guide here, good friend of mine, Johnny Bowler. All right, Johnny, get that lawn done. Michelle, good evening. 35 feet from the front of the house, Michelle. How cool is that? Getting out more fishing? Yeah, definitely more now because I got a boat on the water now. Hey, Sean, another fellow Angler Quest owner. How are you? Jeff says, why new tubes? This is an excellent question. There was actually nothing wrong with my tubes. When they pulled them and checked them, I didn't have any leaks at all. The concern was that there had potentially been problems with that previous tube design. And there had been some situations where they had cracked at the welds and they'd let some water in the tubes. Now, I didn't think I had a problem with mine because it was riding just as it should, and I don't beat it up. I I don't wanna say I baby it, but I take care of it. Um, so um, in the old vernacular of COVID, which I hate to bring up when they used to say an abundance of caution, well, my tubes were swapped out in an abundance of caution. Jordan filmed you with outdoor driven. Corey, help me out, remind me, is outdoor driven that group out of Bay City? I'm quite sure it is. And I took a group out on Saginaw Bay walleye fishing from Outdoor Driven, and I can't think of the guy's name. Got a mental block on his name. Same group, Corey? Tony, can you tell any difference with the two new tubes? Nope, nothing at all. Can't feel a difference at all, except that they're shiny for now, not for long. Jeff, Northern Lights Bear Guide Service. You have a Facebook page now. Excellent. Another Angler Quest guy here. Doug Ward. Good evening, Cap. How are you? Johnny said he had to go in the house now, hoping the skeeters slow down. They're horrible. That's what a thermocell and Michigan Moon is for. Terry, how are things in Shingleton? Oh, never mind. You're answering my question. Rainy. Johnny says, thought you were full this year, Jeff. I'm sure you guys know each other. Bear Guides in the UP. It is my intent, and I should know June, 22nd, to be hunting with you, Johnny Bowler. In fact, I was hunting with James, my son James, fishing with him, and he's got 3 points. And I said, James, if you put in for the third season in Newberry, you're guaranteed a tag with Johnny. And I bet Johnny wouldn't mind if we both came up. But he doesn't know if he can take the time off work, Johnny. Randy, good evening. How are you? Parts Junkie. I know you, Parts Junkie, but I can't think of how I know you. I mean, I know who you are in real life. Is this Mike or is this somebody else? Give me your first name, Parts Junkie, because I know we had this conversation, but I can't exactly think of who you are, and I apologize. Yes, exactly. Corey says, okay, what's his name? Andrew. Thank you, Corey. Andrew. Great guy. And the plan is I will be taking another group from Outdoor Driven out on the water this summer. Jeff says, gotcha. Patrick, I hear we have a new state record white perch out of Lake St. Clair. Hadn't heard that one yet. Jeff says, close. Had a couple guys change. Couldn't make it this year. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Say hi to Eddie. Hey, Ken. How are you? Yeah, there is good fishing out. I got the boat in the water now. And Ken, we were, that spot I refer to as Ken's spot. We were southeast of there about half a mile, and got fish yesterday. Oh, Parts Junkie, you are Andrew. Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Andrew is the guy who started Outdoor Driven. Now, this is an excellent story. Andrew is a vet, and I don't think I'm speaking out of school here. Andrew had some challenges when he got home, and he said, let's see if we can't do something for other vets who are having challenges. And so he said, let's use the outdoors. So he worked so hard to start this organization called Outdoor Driven. I feel very blessed that he asked me to be a part of an early trip. I took some guys out on Saginaw Bay, and Andrew, we're going to do that this summer again, I think too, right? So it just congrats to you. Speaking of vets, this is a great transition here. It's Memorial Day weekend. I know that's an excellent opportunity. It is an excellent excuse to fire up the grill, to go to the beach, to go camping, to go north, to go fishing, to play golf, whatever. But let's not forget the real reason for Memorial Day, and that is to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, those in the military who signed up, left their family, left their friends, maybe went to some godforsaken place in some jungle or some desert or wherever, and they didn't come back. That is the reason for Memorial Day, to honor and remember those people. As I said this morning, and I've said before, and I'll say it many times, one of the few true regrets I have in my life is that I did not serve. I feel guilty about that. If I could go back in time, I would correct that. But as a result, or maybe not as a result, but as a factor possibly, I have nothing but respect for our vets. And to think that somebody signed up, left home, probably as a young person, left their family, their friends again, their hometown, and didn't make it back. That is, I can't even imagine how overwhelming that is for the families and friends that are left behind. So, as you're having fun screwing around this weekend, remember that you are, this is kind of a cliche, and I apologize, but you are free to do those things because other people stepped up and made it possible. Gene says also, Mike, they are the 2023 design tubes. Yes. Thank you, Gene, for that clarification. Yes. Yeah. My boat is technically a 2022, but now it has 2023 tubes on it. Ross, good evening, Mr. Skinny. How are you? Scott says his tunes run higher in the water on plane because he's got 3 new tunes. Um, yes, mine are the thicker ones, Doug. Um, I noticed, Scott, that I felt like with the new tubes that the boat set higher in the water at the bow. I felt it really lifted the bow up. I talked to Brad about it yesterday. I saw him at Linwood Beach. He said, no, it shouldn't affect it at all. So, um, I don't know yet. I haven't, it probably would have been better if I would have had, you know, if for the last couple of weeks I was running the old tubes and we swapped them and I got on the new tube so I could make a direct comparison. I don't feel a real difference. And I wasn't worried before because I had the old tubes. But I will admit that there is a certain amount of confidence and comfort now knowing that I have the new tube design underneath me and the cruise that I take out. I thought, Johnny, I thought so. Captain JT, Slip 181. No, 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 no. Oh. This is what was screwing me up. That's what I was thinking. You mentioned Andrew Cumtus, and I'm thinking, well, no, you're not Andrew Cumtus. But now you're reminding me you are Captain. Okay, we were talking about Andrew. Okay. You are Captain JT from Slip 181, just down from me. Thank you for the clarification, Parts Junkie. It wasn't clicking with me, but now it does. Yep, Andrew. 2023 design. Yes. 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 Slip 181. Have you been out? Cap, have you been out? You're more than welcome, Corey. Johnny says, Ross, still looking for the key. Don't know what that means. Carl, good evening. How are you? Billy, nice to have you along with us. No, I'm sorry, Cap. No, not Andrew. Sorry, delayed was answering the earlier question. Yeah. And that's part of the I love these live feeds because we can do this direct interaction with back and forth, but it's not real time. And there is a little bit of a lag sometimes. And sometimes I fail to get people's inflection, whether it's sarcasm, intentional sarcasm, or whatever, because I'm not looking at you face to face. Teaching fishing, Lance Valentine, Sir Lancelot. How you doing, buddy? Lance, you'll notice that I texted you yesterday with a tech support question, and as soon as I hit send, I figured it out. But thank you, buddy. You're always there to help me out. I appreciate that. Gene says, "Hey, Doug, they are the 2023 tube designs," and Gene is going to go fishing with Doug. Greg, recovering from total knee replacement. I'll be up and running for bear and deer season. Oh yeah, just about able to catch my wife now. Greg, I tell you, having my knees replaced is the second best thing I've ever done. The best thing was having the gastric sleeve surgery that allowed me to lose weight. But then having my knees replaced, and you say a total knee replacement. Um, that's the only way to go, in my non-medical expert opinion. I've heard about a lot of people who had partial knee replacements, and then 2 years later they go back and get a total. If they're going in there and they're going to work on it, get the whole thing done. Craig, yes, thank you. Your mother always called it Decoration Day. Yes, Decoration Day. I've heard that term too from folks older than me. Believe it or not, there are some people older than me. And in my family, Memorial Day is not just a day to honor uh, war heroes, but in our family, it was also a day to honor the family members who had passed on. Like my mom and brother will be out putting a wreath on my dad's gravesite, and they'll probably hit grandma and grandpa's as well. White perch was 2.592 pounds. Excellent. Hey, Mike, good evening. How are you? Ken got 8 yesterday, just south of that spot in 12 feet. We were in 10 feet of water yesterday, Ken, probably straight east of you. Probably straight east of you. Corey, you're more than welcome, and thank you for your service. Mike, good evening, buddy. How are you? The Michigan Outdoorsman? Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. Ross said, Mike, it was God's plan for you not to enlist. You should not feel bad for not going. I don't, everything is God's plan, right? I get that. But I do feel guilty. You know it. We've talked about that. Doug Ward's, same here, Mike. Same feelings. Utmost respect for our vets and those that gave all. It's because of them that we can do what we do today in our lands. We can go out and screw around, have fun this weekend because people signed up, went off to war, and didn't come home. That's the reason for Memorial Day. Hey, Jeff, back in Michigan, Jeff Hammond, a hardcore Michigan outdoorsman who likes to travel and do really fun outdoor things, was in Africa a couple of weeks ago. And I think he probably did the most extensive African safari of anybody I've known. And he was sending me pictures of the trophies that he shot. Now, I've been to Africa and I've shot animals. Okay. I might even be able to do this right here. I've shot animals, right, in Africa. But that quality of animal, I mean, that's a nice animal, but that's not a trophy. I mean, the animals that Jeff was shooting were just like world-class trophy animals. Very cool, Jeff. Very cool. Anyway, welcome back to Michigan. Hello, Bill. Absolutely, Dan. Good evening. Teaching fishing, got 3 new tubes and the bigger gas tank. Looking forward to getting the water next week. So, Lance, what size is your tank? I would have loved it if when they put my 2 new tubes in, they could have given me a 60-gallon tank. That's the one. If I have a criticism of Angler Quest, and there aren't many, that I would like to see a bigger gas tank, because where I am, we don't have a gas dock. You guys at Linwood Beach have a gas pump right there, so it's easier for you to fill up. I don't have one. I got to go upstream a couple miles. So it's kind of a hassle. I think mine is 42 gallons. Doug Ward, correct me. Isn't that the big size now, 42? When I started working with Angler Quest, my gas tank was 26 gallons. And that was not big enough. Not big enough. Hello, Scott. Good evening. How are you? Chris checking in from Kansas. You guys have had some rough weather. Scott says you took fish out of our skinny water. Well, hopefully not too many. Scott, when we went out yesterday, it must have been 12:30-ish. I made a pass through that skinny water and couldn't get anything. Couldn't get a bite. So we knew that there were fish out northeast of us. So we made a little run and got some fish out there. Hello, Dave. Nice to have you along with us. Another Dave. Dave Mason, a great guy, and Dave Austin, another great guy. Been out a couple of times, had a great Mother's Day out there. Cap, that wasn't you that was asking about the bugs as we came in yesterday, was it? Johnny, that's so cool. Um, and what a great story. What a great story. Um, I can't think of anything more rewarding on this earth than to do what you did, Johnny. Right back at you, Cap. Good evening. How are you? Ace, who is my age, says his knees are acting up. He's ready to have something done. Ace, I first went to the orthopedic surgeon about 4 years. I went to my doc because my knees were bothering me. Um, and I thought it was, I didn't know what it was. So I went to the orthopedic guy and he x-rayed him and he said, "You got arthritis." I'm like, "Arthritis?" I was like 50 years old because I had my first knee replacement at 56. So I was early 50s. I said, "How could I have arthritis?" He said, "You've got it." He said, "And you're going to need your knees replaced, both of them." I said, "Well, when do you want to do it? Because I'm not ready." And he said, "No, you're not ready." He said, "You and I will both know when you're ready." He said, "Well, because you will come into the office here and you will say, 'Doc, I can't take it any longer. It's time to get them done.'" And that's exactly what happened. I had my left one done when I was 56, and I had my right one done when I was 58. They do them as outpatients now. Also, guys, talking about ailments, haven't been able to breathe through my nose in 40 years, getting it fixed May 31st. Fresh air. What is it, Doug? Were you a boxer? Did you get your nose broken or something? Speaking of old guys getting things fixed, I am so excited. This eye, I've already had this eye done with a cataract. This eye is going to be done, but we're going to wait till the end of the summer after fishing season. But I can't wait to get that done. Yep, Eric, same way. I know you will, Ross. Ross, God bless you. David, good evening. Always glad to have you here, Cliff. Craig got 5 last week in 16 feet of water, some in 15 and a half flicker shads all the way. You know, you know what I had the opportunity to use for the first time yesterday was the new Precise Walleye Crank, the PWC. It's the baits that the Romanaks, Mark and Jake Romanak designed. And I can never remember if it's for Bill Norman or for Bill Lewis. I think it's Bill Lewis. The thing I really like about these baits is they've got a real heavy set of trebles on them. You know, the flicker minnows and the flicker shads, the hooks that come with them are just absolute junk. Well, these PWCs have some really nice hooks on them. Jeff just booked your Yukon moose hunt. You are amazing. 42. That's the same size I got, Lance. Yeah, absolutely. Every animal is a trophy. Yes. Marion, good evening. How are you? Watching your daughter's softball game, Sam. For this is the first week, Sam. Have fun, by the way. Good luck to her. This is the first week that we haven't had a weekday softball game for my granddaughter Addison in a long time. She had a tournament last Saturday in Grand Rapids, but I know what you mean. Craig's is 45 gallons. How did you get a 45 gallon? Oh, you think it's 45? Okay, Gene says he thinks the Angler Quest from 22 on up are 45 gallons. Let me shoot a quick text off to Brad because now I'm curious. Having a conversation on Wednesday Night Live. How big is the gas tank now? 42 or 45 gallons? 45, you think, huh? Oh, Doug says 42, and it fills to about 37 as she sits on the water. Yeah. And let me ask you this, fellow Angler Quest owners. When you fill that tank up as far as it will go, and you go into your settings and you tell the tank, okay, you're full now, does your digital gas gauge go to 100%? Because mine won't. I will fill it up and get every ounce of gas in there that I possibly can. And the highest I can get is like 92%. When they filled it up at Linwood Beach Marina the other day, it was 86%. Chris Durson, still need to get you on Wednesday Night Live, Chris. Chris Durson, the owner of Rapid River Knives, the folks who made this knife right here. This is my new Rapid River. I carry this one all the time. Well, I carry this one and my original Mammoth all the time between the two of them. And I'm thinking about getting one of the small Upers, the Uper folders. If you're looking for a great knife that'll last you forever, you can hand down to generations, handmade by craftsmen in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Do one of two things. Go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.us, rapidriverknifeworks.us, or stop by the store on the showroom, actually, on US 2, just east of Rapid River. Walk in there, tell them you said Avery sent you, and you want to use his promo code. My promo code is Avery10. Avery10. If you order online, you'll get 10% off this knife or any other knife. You can get it engraved and shipped to you. Or if you're in the if you're going to be there this weekend or anytime throughout the summer, stop by the showroom, see what they have to offer, look at the mounts, look at the knives, pick out a knife, have it engraved while you wait. Chris Durson, Rapid River Knives, family-owned, Michigan-based company. The best knife company out there, in my opinion. Justin says the bugs were horrible yesterday. Justin, we didn't. Okay. This is from Justin. We didn't. The breeze kept the bugs down for us. I just got a text back from Brad Dupuis. Let me send him another quick text. Brad says the new tank is 45 gallons. He said, but it'll only fit 41 to 42 gallons will fit, but it's a 45-gallon tank. And this is from the man himself, Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis. Mike, good evening. How are you? Look forward to seeing you at our golf outing. Tony says he took his granddaughter turkey hunting Saturday, saw her first bear in the wild, and glad when Tony at 50 yards. Oh, what a thrill. What an absolute thrill. Doug said the wrong thing to Linda. Evening, Dean. How are you? Okay. Let's talk about this for a minute. The first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing to benefit MUCC's youth camp. It is Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. We still have openings for players and we have openings for sponsors. If you want to do either, play in the event or sponsor, and there are some very, very inexpensive sponsor levels. If you go to the website, mucc.org/golf, that's mucc.org/golf, you can sign up. Speaking of MUCC, Executive Director Amy Trotter is with me next week here on Wednesday Night Live. Okay. Ross Elliott, my good friend Ross, you guys all know Ross, who the next time you see Ross, he's going to disappear because he's a fraction of the man that he used to be. Good for you, Ross. Ross is looking for somebody to golf with on the golf outing. Now, Ross is a real easy guy to get along with. Even if you've never met Ross, you would enjoy it. So if you want to be a part of this outing and you're looking for somebody to golf with, and you don't have to be a great golfer, private message Ross or message me, and I will put you guys in touch. But Ross Elliott wants to golf in the outing, and I want him there, and he's looking for somebody to golf with. Let's see if we can't get a Ross Elliott team, or a team including Ross Elliott. Michael, good evening. How are you? He said, speaking of old guys getting things fixed, I thought Mark Pananzek was tuning in. Well, I think he's actually older than me, and he's pretty much had everything fixed, hasn't he? I ask a favor. Working with Andrew now to take a group out Sunday, but he's having a hard time filling it. If you know of any vets or first responders that would like to go, send them our way. Having a hard time filling it. Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch with Captain Parts Junkie here or Outdoor Driven. Dan, good evening. How are you? Yeah, Pananzek's got nothing left to fix. Tail squirt, good luck. Doug says mine is a late build 22 with 23 tunes. Mine was a hey Doug, mine was a late built 22 with 22 tunes. 42 in the tank, 3 in the ground. Did you calibrate your fuel sender at initial fill up? Can't say as I did. I can't say as I did, Lance. But I figured if I put in 42 gallons or whatever it is, and I tell it it's full, shouldn't it read 100%? Doug says his tank doesn't read anything now. It shows up on his Lowrance. That's what mine is. I don't have a fuel gauge. Mine shows up through my electronics. Sam, last weekday game, she only has 2 tournaments left the next 2 Saturdays. They're coming into districts, aren't they? Sounds like I might want to recalibrate. Okay, my friends, how do I do that? How do I recalibrate? Scott says his is always around 85% no matter what. Can't get it totally full at the gas dock at Linwood Beach Marina. Bunch of people on the front helps. So how do I recalibrate the gas gauge, my friends? There's Brad right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. AnglerQuest, Brad Dupuis. Brad, we were having a conversation. People were asking why I got my tubes replaced. And I said there was really nothing wrong with my tubes. They weren't cracked, they weren't leaking, but there had been some problems with that design of tube in the past. And that you and the folks at Apex just wanted to make sure I had the new tube design underneath me. And I appreciate that. So then we got into conversation of AnglerQuest in general and gas tanks. And now here's where you come in. So same style of tank in the past. Okay, Brad, here's a question for you. How far down? I got to go. Okay, 45. Yeah, fairly low. Okay, so Brad, I jumped to the last comment here. Oh, there is a calibration option in the menu of your gauge or sonar unit. It appears that that's what I have to do. Because Brad, like I'll fill mine up and it'll say 93%. I can't get it to show 100%, even though the tank is full. Jay, good evening. How are you? Eric. Doug, can I sponsor by domain? Doug, I don't know the answer to that. I will find out. I don't know. That's a generous offer. I will find out. Gene says, Brad, were they 45 gallon? Tim, I look forward to being in August. By the way, I have Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters on the radio show this week. Mark says, got sponsored by GFL and will be registering shortly. Mark, I can't wait to see you there Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. We will look forward to your information coming in. You as well, Jeff. Have a good evening. No, you need to calibrate it empty, quarter full, half full, 3/4 full, and then full. That sounds like too much work. Fun fact, caught only one walleye ever, and that's an 11-pounder that got mounted right under the Zilwaukee Bridge. Well, that's pretty nice. 45 in the past. The tank is 4 feet long, but fairly low in height. Any angle of the boat affects fuel capacity. I walk to the front while filling to max your capacity. Parts junkie. We have an 83-year-old vet here in our park. He lost his wife last September, but he'd love to go. How might we get you two to call me one day? Lance, when I do call you, you don't answer. Brad says most likely it was programmed at 45 gallons, but does not truly fit 45. So that's why it's showing like 93. Afternoon, James. Doug says Jim programmed his at 42. Bill Hoffman, West Branch Country Club is right by your hunting camp. Hey, Brad, while we've got you on here, and I know we've talked about this on the radio show, Brad Dupuis, and on a podcast as well. I know you're working on a prototype design of the new version of AnglerQuest. Do you have a feel for when that prototype will be on the water, and what's your best guess on when you'll be making production models of the new AnglerQuest? Jerry, Mike, are you still planning a whitetail hunt in Ohio this fall? I'm not going to be able to make that hunt with Bill Piles. It breaks my heart, but I can't make it down there this year. Ross, I thought it was a done deal. Mike, I need to talk to you about my dealership sponsorship on a hole in one. I thought that was a done deal. And you actually wouldn't even talk with me, Ross. You would talk with Steve Wyndham of MUCC. He's the guy handling all that type of stuff. Tom, glad to have you along with us. Do it right. You should be accurate with it. Don't call when you're fishing. Well, how am I going to call you when you're not fishing? Ain't got no gas in it. Brad Dupuy, don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know you're in the process of making a prototype of that Angler Quest. When will the new Angler Quest, a prototype version, you think, be on the water? And it's my understanding that boat will probably end up at Linwood Beach on Saginaw Bay. I guess what's the process? What I'm asking here. I don't know how deep you want to get in the woods here, in the weeds. Ross, I will text you his info. Okay, Brad, see, projecting to have the prototype 8524 and 8526 Pro Troll floating in 3 weeks. Now, the 8526 is an 8.5-foot beam. The 24 denotes the length. The 26 denotes the length. So, projecting to have the prototype floating in 3 weeks. Brad, that is so exciting. I mean, I love Angler Quest as it stands right now, but to have a new concept of Angler Quest with every part of this having your I don't want to say it, every part of this having your input is going to be very cool. Lance says, I'll swing by once I get off the Detroit River. Elmer checking in from Petoskey. Where are you going, Johnny? It's not time for you to bow out yet. Brad says it's rigged with a 300 Suzuki digital throttle and shift motor. Craig Plowman says, Brad, can we dock the prototype at his house as long as he leaves? Brad, will you put the prototype at Craig Plowman's place? Just leave the keys. Brad says he is excited to get it fishing. Hey, Brad, how did you do yesterday, by the way? We made a pass through my skinny water. James and I couldn't get anything. And we went out northeast of there in about 10 feet of water and got fish. Gene said he'd love to see the prototype. We're all excited, Brad. You got a lot of Angler Quest fans on this feed right here. We're all excited for you, and we wish you nothing but the best. That is for absolute sure. And thanks, by the way, Brad, for jumping on board here too. I mean, I texted Brad out of the blue. I said, hey, what's the size of the gas tank? And if you feel like it, jump on board right now. Let me ask you this, Brad Dupuy, and I'm going to put you on the spot this time. When you have, you got to go because of the pay. Okay. Oh, okay. 3 of you kept your 24, probably landed 35. Oh, you did real well, Brad. Brad, let me put you on the spot here. Ross, don't go anywhere quite yet. Can we plan on doing a Wednesday night live this summer from that prototype out of Linwood Beach? If we can't, that's fine. If we can do it, I would love to. What do you think? Ross Elliott, no power at the house, got to go out to eat. Okay. So Ross, one more time. If you would like to fish in the first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing to raise money for MUCC's youth camp, you can sign up and or sponsor by going to mucc.org/golf, mucc.org/golf. Ross Elliott, I have his comment up here right now, would love to join us, but he's looking for a team. He's looking for some guys to golf with. So if you want to join us and you don't have a full team, or if you're looking for a team, get in touch with Ross or get in touch with me, and I will put you in touch with each other. You can always email me, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. All right, Ross, have a good evening. Brad says, absolutely, we can do that. Absolutely. Gene would love to be there. Brad says, we can sure do a live trip. Let's plan on it. Ross said, Johnny said, Ross, did you pay the power bill? Scott Hand says, the only way you two guys go on a trip with a new Angler Quest is me fishing along. That ain't so, Scott. That ain't so. Although I'm sure you're welcome. You would be welcome. Patrick, good evening. John, when you did the Avery live from the boat that I got, it was a wonderful boat. That's right. You did get one of my old boats, didn't you? I've had several Angler Quests, and every one of them has been outstanding. I'd like to say every new one has been a little better. Scott's always welcome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the prototype. All right, before I run out of time, let me tell you who's coming up on the Outdoor Magazine show this week. John Cleveland of the Eppinger Company. Hey, now listen now. It's not a party, it's a work trip. Pretty soon Plowman's going to want to go too. John Cleveland of the Eppinger Company. They make the Daredevils. He's on he's on the show this week. Then in hour number 2, the Michigan spearfishing guy, John Dirtka. He's the guy who posts all these cool underwater spearfishing videos online. Then Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters in White River, Ontario, Canada. If you don't get a Michigan bear tag here, and they'll be announced in June, if you don't get a tag, you can always go to Ontario and hunt. You can buy one over the counter. I will be there in the middle of August. And in our third hour, we're talking boat safety and some old Coast Guard stories from when Joe Marion was in the Coast Guard for 20 years. And of course, then we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Miner. Craig says he'll bring the cigars. Craig, you're in. Call it what you want. Just scoot over, Cap. Jeez, guys. I had twins say, hi, Uncle Mike. Hey, Rylan. Hey, Peyton. I'm going to come to your ball game tomorrow night, kids. And Aunt Denise. And the Maker's Mark. Here's the thing. When I'm on the water, and now that I have my license, I don't drink. Not when I'm on the water. I'm trying to think of the last time I may have had like one beer or something towards, and not on a charter, but just on a fun trip. I just, now that I have that license, I look at things differently, and it was such a big thrill for me to get my captain's license, getting it as an older person, that I just don't want to do anything to screw that up. So I actually don't, I'll take all your Maker's Mark for afterwards, but yeah, I just don't drink on the water. Johnny says he's late on the Maker's Mark. Brad says we might have to do 2 live events with all you yahoos wanting to jump on board. Well, one thing's for sure, Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest. When you bring that prototype into Linwood Beach Marina, there's going to be a buzz. People are going to want to see that boat. We have been anxiously awaiting to see this prototype for a long time. And again, we wish you nothing but the best in this venture. And we're excited to see what you come up with. So when you pull that prototype Angler Quest or whatever it is into Linwood Beach, it's going to get a lot of attention. And by the way, Brad, I thanked you before you were on here, but let me thank you again. I want to thank Apex for getting me the new tubes, getting me on the water. I need to thank Gene because he was involved in actually putting those tubes on. I want to thank you, Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, for helping to facilitate that process. All the folks at Linwood Beach Marina, and especially Captain Jason Graham, for getting me on the water as quick as possible. So thank you all. Appreciate that. Got to christen the boat with something. Cigars. Doug says, good point. Haven't had a drink on the water in 6 years. Now when we get back, some margaritas get torn up. Yeah, see, I can relate to that. I really can. Johnny says, after you shoot your bear, Andy's has Maker's Mark. Johnny, I told you, I am afraid to go into Andy's. I know what's going to happen when I go into Andy's. That says, thank you, Mike. I need to get something going here, and you know what it is. And as soon as you hear this, you'll go, oh, yeah. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, my light went out. Must mean it's time to wrap this up, right? All right, my friends. One last reminder. We still have openings for the golf outing, and we have unlimited openings to sponsor the event. mucc.org/golf. It is Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club, and we are raising money for MUCC's youth camp. It doesn't get any better than that. Love to have you there. Absolutely. Where's Gene? Try to make my next helm. All right, that'd be cool. All right, my friends. Well, I got to wait till the music ends. Where is it? There it is. My name is Mike Avery. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, hey, Justin, is Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. This is Wednesday Night Live. I also do live streams every Wednesday morning in the studio. Have a great night, my friends. It's been a great holiday weekend.